As some of you may be aware, we have been taking a couple of requests for which photographs you'd like to have seen. Now this has got some digital artistry. I'm more say combining photographs. There's not much trickery here, but just a little bit. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to take you into Lightroom and we'll have a look at the original photographs. Now this is one of the photos that I use as a plate to combine. It's these stars down here that I'm going to grab. And these are the photos out of camera. Now I believe it was this one. But just to give you an idea, let's just click through at some of these. That was too dark, so we had to wait. So that's why I've selected this one out, where the children are facing away, because later on we were able to get light on their face. Here, for example. So, this is the starting image. This is the sun had just come up, we started the shoot, and that beautiful sky was behind. As you can see, it's all there already, so it's a lot of fun to work with. Okay, so we're in Lightroom. Now, what I firstly need to do is grab the adjustment brush, and I need to lighten them up a little bit. So I'm just going to grab the exposure and lighten them up. Now, if I've stuffed up badly and I have to lighten people up more than one stop, then I tend to ditch the file, which I would have mentioned in other videos. But this is the back of their heads, so we should be okay, but still, I might just erase that off. Now, if you make a mistake, and I just lightened up her hand, you can just press erase, and you can go back to how it was, which is a great feature. Okay, so now I've lightened them up. We'll just go back to this one and lighten, do a smaller brush, and lighten the top of their hair a little. Actually, just slightly bigger brush for that. Okay. There we go. Alright. Now, what I would like to do is lighten up the boat a little bit. So I'm going to grab the boat, lighten it up to begin with. Now you may or may not remember that this boat, I actually made it a little bit bluer. It started as green. So there's some trickery there. So what I'm going to do is also tint that a little bit as well. Okay. And I might even saturate that up a little bit now. There we go. That looks more like the boat. Okay. So I've now done lightened up the children. I've made the boat a little bit more turquoise. Now we have the sand to deal with. Now, because I'm going to be combining two photographs together, what I need to make sure is that my white balance is basically the same. So with the white balance, I might actually sink that. Maybe I'll brush it. If I sink it, it's going to take these stars and make these stars too blue or too yellow. However, I need to make the sky yellow anyway, so maybe I'll have to go back and brush the stars. We'll figure that out in a minute. I can't remember what I did, so we'll go through that together. But I think I might just add a little bit of warmth in and a little bit of magenta. Because if we go back to the original, as you can see, there is definitely warmth here and definitely magenta. Okay, now as you can see, that's also taken the stars, but that's okay. So now I'm going to grab the adjustment brush again and lighten up down here. Now that's too light, but we'll come back to that. Okay. Just lighten that up a little bit. New adjustment brush, and I want to work on the sky this time, so I need to make that sky a little bit more yellow and warm. So this is probably going to be too much. It is. Okay, so okay. Alright. So now we've done the sky. Now I'm going to go back and compare. Very similar. Okay, so as you can see, I've also brightened up this area a little bit, so I'm just going to go and grab the yellow and the saturate and brought this area back a bit. Okay, so all I've done is bring back that area, as you can see. Okay, so Let's go back to the boat again. What I'd like to do is lighten that boat up a bit. Double click effect to put everything back to normal. Lighten up the kids a little bit again. Now I believe I added a little bit of blue-green to that little girl's dress, so I'm going to do that with a new adjustment brush. There we go. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to do a crop to 5:7 in here. So I've grabbed the crop tool, aspect 5:7. Now this is just the ratio, it's not actually cropping to 5:7. Keep that in mind. Press OK. Alright, what I need to do is now work in the overall file. I'm going to bring some detail back in the whites and the highlights. So I'm going to reduce those down to about 70, and as you can see, that's brought that sky back tremendously, as we can see here. So that's really brought that back. Now I might just lighten up the entire scene a little bit, even saturate it up a little bit, and there we go. Now before I continue on, I do want to just do another brush on that boat. If you have a look at this corner here, it was a little bit lighter than the rest of the boat. So, okay, there we go. We can help merge that later on. Okay, so now let's have a look at the before and after. So this is the capabilities of Lightroom, really, with an image like that is just incredible. In fact, I could just leave it like that, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit, but let's just see how we go. Really, that photo, the colour was all done in Lightroom. So let's export those to Photoshop and start working from there. Okay, here we are in Photoshop CC. Now what I've done is I brought in the image that we're working on as a TIFF, which is from the raw file, and this is the boat TIFF, which hasn't been touched at all, and this is the done file in small res, which is on my website, so that we can compare. Now basically we've got the sky correct. The elements that we will need to work on here are the stars. Now I've also made this pole smaller. I'll need to work on the stars down the bottom and make these stars a little bit bluer. And basically that is it. So that's what we need to work on in Photoshop. So I'm going to go back to this image here, and I need to grab the stars off the ground. Actually, I'll just do that with a lasso. Now I might make that about 50. And I'm going to copy that, go back to this file, and paste it. Now it's going to be too small. So now what I need to do is transform that. So edit free from transform. I'm just going to make those stars a little bit bigger. Okay, happy with that. And then press OK. Alright, now as you can see, it's gone into areas where the boat is, so we just simply erase that back. Now I might actually use a mask layer in case I make a mistake. So I'm going to use a black brush to erase it back. Erase back on the pole. And these stars here. Now in doing that, I've also made it more obvious that the ground doesn't match. So, because it's too light. So what we might do is just darken that up. And there we have it. A much better fit. Okay. Perfect. Alright. So now we can see the stars on the ground a lot better. Just have to, oops, grab the mask layer and erase off here. Now I do believe I must have added some other stars over here as well, because you can see that, so I'll work on that in a minute. And I've also removed the footsteps, so again, something else to work on. Now I'm going to just go in and have a close in look at that, just to make sure I haven't got any mistakes. And there are a few. You can see some of the stars coming through underneath, which is fine. We'll just let them. Okay. Alright, and let's go over to this one. Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab the background layer and this layer and duplicate the layers. And then I'm going to go layer merge. So now I've got a new background plate. And we'll call that stars added. Okay, I'm going to duplicate the stars added layer, and I'm going to patch out these feet. Just drag it over to an area where there are no feet, which is handy that we've got that over there. Unfortunately, when we put these stars down, it was very tricky to do it without putting footsteps everywhere, but we did our best. The star sail is put together by fishing line. Okay, so there we have it. Now I'll do it rather quickly. I won't make it perfect, but you get the point of how I'd done that. Another little footprint over here. And here. Okay. Alright. Now I do need to add some more stars in. I don't like this star here. It's kind of sitting on top of each other. So I might take that out altogether. Alright. And there we have it. Okay, from here on in it's just an example of, I probably can't get it exactly the same because I've got the stars in different spots, but it looks pretty good. Just need to add some stars over here. So I'll grab some stars from, say, here. Edit, copy, edit, paste. Okay. And just move it on over. Now I'm going to erase this bit off. And I will just darken that. Okay. Great. So now again we've got some more stars to work with. Okay. So I'm going to merge those two. So we've got the second background layer. Okay, so what I do tend to do is the layers that I'm not working on, I do like to group them. Just to keep it cleaner. So these are the working on files, and I can turn those off now. And there we have the stars come in. Okay, so I might need to lasso this area. Just here, and add a little bit of red. So I'm going to go to color balance, a mask, and bring up the color balance properties, and add a little bit of red in. Barely noticeable, but it does help. Alright, now I'm going to duplicate this background layer, which is Control J, or you can do it this way. And what I'd need to do is grab this pole. Now I mentioned that the pole we need to work on. And I'll make sure that I grab some area around. And I copy and then I edit paste. And I'm just going to free transform that and push that in. And then put it back to where it was. It doesn't need to be about the pole. The pole was kind of too obvious, I thought. So in doing that, I've made it less about the pole. However, I do need to move the stars over now. So I'm just going to grab those stars, and I do need to fix that. You can see there that the sky is now not matching. So I'll come back to that, edit copy, edit paste. Now let's grab these stars, move them over a little bit. Grab the pole again, bring that down. Okay. Perfect. Now I need to erase this pole off a little bit. And as you can see, I've got some stars in here that I do need to work on. However, that's so much better. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that background layer. Grab these. Duplicate all the layers actually, and then merge them. And here's my new working. I'll put these into the working one, and here's my new background. So let's have a look at a before and after at that. Okay, last but not least, we just need to make those stars a little bit more cyan. So what I'm going to do is grab the quick select tool, which is a great tool, and I'll go select similar. Now this is going to grab areas that have nothing to do with it, so you just mask, take that off with the lasso tool. Now I don't mind it doing the sky so much. Now if you need this to be perfect, you don't want to be doing it this way. If you want it to be perfect, then make sure you grab a mask layer and paint on. This is a faster way of doing it though, for those of you that want the speedy way. Okay, so just to give you an idea. Alright, so now I'm going to Control J, and that's grabbed those areas there, and I'm going to go to Color Balance, and simply add cyan. There's a before and after. Now be careful, it has made some of the sand cyan, like I said it would. So you can either mask that off or erase that off. Masking off is better, as you know. So if you did want that to be perfect, when you zoom in at 100%, then you want to make sure that you brush that on with an adjustment brush. However, that does it quickly. Alright, so there we have it, the end result. For those of you that found that too fast to follow along, make sure you read the PDF, which has step by step.